Paula, you can start.
Thank you. So welcome everyone to this Covenant of Mayors Investment Forum. It's my pleasure to be here with you this morning. So I remind you that you are in panel 2. This is the panel titled Financing Energy Efficiency in the Public Sector. My name is Paula Mendes. I work at the European Investment Bank and I'm part of the ELENA team. ELENA is a facility run by the European Investment Bank on behalf of the European Commission that helps public and private sector implementing energy efficiency, renewable energy, and sustainable transport investments. We are here today, this morning, to see the presentation of Renovat. So before I present the speakers, I will remind you that this is a session of 45 minutes in total. We have 30 minutes presentation that will follow by a Q&A session of 15 minutes. As a reminder also to the speakers, I have 2 little cards here. So the yellow one and the red one. The yellow one where you have 5 minutes left and the red one when you have 1 minute left. Please, if you have questions about the content of the presentations, feel free to put it in the chat as soon as possible, and we will recap and we will answer those questions at the end. So after the presentation is finished. So the presentation this morning is called One-Stop Shop Approach to Renovate Public Buildings Through EPCs. This is done by the Renovat team, which is composed by Salma Lasri. She is the director of Renovat. Salma has been in Renovat since September 2018. And she has worked most of her career on construction of social housing in Brussels capital region. This project focuses Renovat's project focuses on energy renovation projects in public buildings in Wallonia. We also have with Salma Luc Charlier. He is the energy engineer at Renovat. He's a civil engineer in electromechanics, and he is an experienced maintenance and energy manager that will be also sharing the presentation as a speaker today this morning. So, with no further delay, we'll give you the floor. Salma, you have 30 minutes and I will let you know when the time is running out.
Thank you, Paula. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm happy to be here today to present Renovat. First of all, I would like to thank the European Commission and the Covenant of Mayors for this special event, which gives us the opportunity to exchange within this challenging topic. In fact, each one of us has a share of responsibility towards energy and climate to achieve the European objectives of 2030 and 2050 CO2 emission reduction and renewable energy production. Renovat is a project, among others, that helps to make it towards this goal. Thanks to the European Investment Bank and the government of Wallonia, today, Renovat supports more than 110 local public authorities. What is Renovat? Before presenting Renovat, I would like to recall that this project is the continuation of the pilot project that has been launched by Greliège with the support of the European Investment Bank through ELENA program, whom I would like to thank for their renewed confidence in Renovat. This pilot project succeeded to sign energy performance contract for 163 buildings in the province of Liège with an investment of 60 million euros. This success earned Renovat the Best Energy Service Project Award from the European Union in 2017, as well as the Energy Management Project Award from the Association of Energy Engineers from the USA in 2018. This achievement has motivated the government of Wallonia to extend the mission of Renowat to include the whole Wallon region. Renowat is a delegated mission of the Wallon government situated in the Regional Investment Company of Wallonia, SRIW, which provide free support of the local public authorities, thanks to the subsidies granted by ELENA and the Wallon region. Through these energy renovation projects, we aim to reduce energy consumption in public buildings with an eye towards achieving the European target of reducing CO2 emissions. By reducing energy consumption of buildings, we help reducing fuel poverty as well. Moreover, we adopt a holistic approach by improving indoor comfort and air quality with our renovation actions. We also promote employment and trainings for young professionals involved in the renovation projects. Our missions are, thanks to our team, composed of engineers, architects, technicians, jurists, financial specialists, and administrative assistants, together with external officers, we carry out complete renovation studies, starting from building selection till signing energy performance and design and build contracts. We create building pools and identify possible financial options. We also create tender specifications and run the whole process of calling for bids and negotiating the different offers. Renowat, being a group purchasing organization, is a one-stop shop that plays the role of a public facilitator between the different parties and through all project steps. Local public authorities get the access to our service by signing the adhesion convention. Afterwards, we select buildings based on heating and power consumption, in addition to heated surface area. We look for funding opportunities, manage the purchasing process, and select the ESCOs, which are the energy service company. This map shows all local authorities which have joined Renowat. We have 113 local authorities which have applied to our services, which represent almost half of the local authorities of the whole Wallon region. Not to mention the individual entities such as hospitals, senior houses, etc. Currently, Renowat is carrying out studies for more than 500 buildings in the whole Wallon region. Through the different projects on which we work, we try to abide with European target of reducing 55% of carbon emissions and achieving carbon neutrality as much as possible. In fact, the initial goals of Renowat have doubled from those initially planned in the contract with the European Investment Bank. I hope that Paula is playing. As seen in this table, instead of working on a project for 50 local public authorities, more than 130 local public authorities have joined Renowat. Therefore, instead, of aiming for 104 million euro of investment, we could achieve up to 225 million euros of investment. I will give the speech to Luc Charlier, and I will back for the questions. Okay. Thank you.
Hello. So here you see the type of renovations we do in the buildings. This means we work on the envelope with windows, grounds, facades, roofs, etc. And we work also on systems, boilers, ventilation, lighting, photovoltaics. This means 2/3 of the work is done on envelopes of the buildings. What is our process? So our process is divided into 6 steps, as shown here. I'm going to go into the 6 detailed steps during the next slides. So first, we make an energy list of the buildings based on global data, which means consumptions and heated square meters of buildings. We have global data, but also more detailed data. How does it work? Practically, we are going to divide the buildings under 3 categories. First category, building with high consumption and high heated surface. And of course, we start with the most biggest buildings because we have a lot to do, and there is, of course, more energy gains in this first category. So, but we also are going to look to buildings with lower consumptions, big buildings with lower consumptions. It could be interesting because we could work systems actions like improving regulations, for example. And we do not have to avoid looking to smaller buildings if they have high consumptions, even if they are smaller. Because on small buildings with high consumptions, we of course need to insulate and to work on systems. What we are going also, this is about global data. Of course, we need to go into more detailed information about previous renovations and all detailed information about the buildings. If we look to the quick scan, what is it? The quick scan, it's one way to say we do energetical audits and analysis. So this means we are going to visit the building, check walls, windows, roofs, floor, check systems, of course, heaters, heat generators, water production, ventilation, renewable resources on site. And based on the real project, the real building, we are going to make a 3D modeling because we need to have the proper value of the surfaces. We are going to add to each surface the U value, which means the thermal properties of the surfaces, and we are going to simulate the building. Static or dynamic simulation. So this means when we have a model based on the real consumption and on real temperature into the building, then we are going to be able to calculate how much we can win energy on the building. So first we calibrate the building. Why? So it's just a way to be able to give a good approximation of the gains. So first calibration and then calculation of gains and costs of improvements. To help us, we have also an accounting system. We call it Colibri. We do 2 or 3 different things into Colibri. First, we make simply energy monitoring month by month year by year, and we can compare with the Meteo. This is the slide below, the second scheme on the slide. What is important also, not only follow consumptions, but follow and understanding temperature into the buildings. So we use the Internet of the objects. We place sensors which transfer every hour the temperature into the building. And this gives us a simple way to understand how works the building. So you can see, for example, the decrease of temperature during night and then during the weekend. And this is important for understanding, of course, if it's regulated properly or not. We have also a way to calculate the improvement with in agreement with MEV measures and verification standards as described in the EVO, which is the Efficiency Evaluation Organization. We have simple calculations opportunity, just a way to reduce cost of energy gains year to year. About financial analysis, step 4. So of course, we are able, so first we are able to calculate technical gains, and then we transfer technical gains into cost calculations. What do? We have the list, of course, of all actions with the cost of each actions. We could have, depending on the buildings, big complete actions or smaller actions. We have different options by buildings. We propose different scenarios to the public sectors, so they are able to choose what they want between different proposals. We have, of course, we take into account the historical energy cost of the buildings, and we, of course, are able to calculate the energy savings compared to the historical costs. We have, so in one way, we have global budget, we have cost of each actions, and we calculate cash flow even on a 20 or 30 years calculation. We have the net present value analysis per site or globally per local authority. Global budgets includes costs, works of studies. Also, not only cost of works, but we have to take care about additional costs which are to be taken into account into the EPC contract. So it is the energy performance contract, because in this contract, there are the works, the studies, but also the maintenance, the total warranty, and the cost of measurement and verification, which are typically taken by the ESCO. So in the financial analysis process, we have the yearly costs. Works are financed by a classical bank financing on 15, 20, or 30 years. Yearly costs, yearly gains, comparison between cost and gains. This is standard financial analysis practically. And evolution of cash flow for the public authorities. Of course, we take care about the inflation, or are going to change year by year cost of fuel, electricity, wood, etc. And based on the project, we calculate the improvement of cost during 20 or 30 years. So what is going to happen? This means, based on the project, if we have more insulation of more systems, the energy gains are going to cover between 40% or 30% of the global investment cost. So practically, of course, there are constraints and difficulties, and there are advantages and opportunities. So constraints and difficulties, of course, public authorities, low budget, self-financing is impossible, strong dependence on public subsidies, additional cost involved into the EPC contract. This is maintenance and MEV calculation. It's not easy to compare historical and future maintenance cost because lack of information on actual historical cost in authorities. Renovation on buildings envelope is not profitable at short or medium terms. Practically, yes, for envelope, but rather on the long term. Of course, when we work on systems and improving regulations, it helps, but practically, there are long-term projects into, if we want to go to 2050 targets, of course, there are long-term projects. Adapting bank financing duration to conventional life cycle of technical equipment. Of course, if we work on the envelope, we can go to financial duration of 20 or 30 years. So today, bank financing, based on our experience, bank financing remains the most convenient financing solution in terms of cost and practicability compared to third-party investors. Lower cost because public authority have good financing solutions. About opportunities, the free energy subsidized by Renovat, it helps public sectors to go ahead. The reduce of energetical costs helps for global finance. We conform to local, national, and European regulations. We increase the building's indoor comfort. We do not have to forget the increase of heat during the summer. This means we go to more comfort into the summer, more ventilation into the building. We, of course, go to architectural quality improvements, not only to energetical improvement, but also architectural improvements. And we have to lead by example to show the way to citizens. Step 5, we have customized solutions for each building. So first we propose different scenarios, and then we have to go to customized solution. Practically, have a global strategy for the building is the best way to do it. Sometimes we have to also to do minor renovation, but we have to take care about being into locking situations. So the best way is to check the building globally. So about guidelines, we are going to work on, in Belgium, it is PEB requirements. This means for envelope, 0.24 to 0.15 watts per square meter Kelvin. We propose mineral or bio-based sustainable materials. We propose heat pumps, centralized heating, biomass boilers, gas engines, all systems which can help of reducing CO2, improving the efficiency of the systems and regulation, good gains, photovoltaic panels, and it's important to speak about improvement of ventilation, especially with coronavirus situations. And of course, integrated architecture and urbanism. So not only energy. at this times, we are at a step, we are going to launch the contracts. And what do? Practically, we launch different types of contracts. So why? Because it's linked to the dimension of the building. So big buildings with big energetic gains, we are going to run long EPC contracts on 15 years, for example. And especially if we have technical buildings, hospitals, swimming pools, homes, this kind of buildings, we go to long EPC contracts of 15 years. If we have smaller buildings, we have also a shorter EPC contract for 3 or 4 years. This gives us the opportunity to stabilize the building and prove the win, the energy gains. And with this contract, short term, 3 or 4 years, we have also an option to 15 years follow-up. And for very small buildings, we are going to run design and build contracts, simply because on small buildings, we do not have enough energy gains to pay many energy calculations. So it's better to do the action than to spend money in energy follow-up. So we have to adjust the type of contracts we adjust the type of contracts with the type of dimension of the building. Yeah. Also, we have to take care about the quality of the data. This means if we have poor data about historical consumptions, and especially if they are with fuel boilers, and with the fuel boilers, we do not know when the tanks have been filled. This means it's not so precise. Consumptions per year are not so precise. We are situations of it is easier to make design and build contracts and to go to EPC contracts later when we will have better precisions. EPC phases, during the 3 or 4 first years, this is our short EPC contract. What is going to happen? So first period, the ESCO company is going to run works on the building. We are going to see a decrease of consumption. And then during the stabilization phase, they are going to prove the energy win during 1 complete year. When they have proven the win, we are okay with a short EPC contract. When we go to a 15 years contract, we give them the opportunity to make further improvement, because it's not the way to stop improving the building after 3 or 4 years. We have to have ways to improve the consumption during the complete contract, during the 15 years of contract. About the procedure of the public procurement. So we have a procedure with negotiation. It's very important to have negotiation because it's a complex contract. So it gives us opportunity to adjust the contract on the best procedure. Without negotiation, it would be a lot more difficult. And we have 2 negotiation phases to have the time to adjust to the best proposals. So it's a negotiation procedure with 2 phases. So I look to the time, to the clock. We are at slide 32, and we are arriving at the conclusions. So what are the lessons learned by Renovat? It's always challenging to convince public authorities to adopt ambitious energetical policies, because also of today we have the coronavirus problems. We have just to understand the climate problems is the same of the coronavirus problems. We have just to do it, to go through. detailed energy monitoring and data collection is very important to improve the buildings. First, we have to understand how the buildings works. Complete approach, holistic approach of the buildings through deep renovation is the only way to go to 2050 objectives and goals. Be careful about partial approach which generates technical locking. We have into the teams additional competencies, architectural, heritage, aesthetical. We have to go through global approach. Local authorities need to commit to the project. And EPC is not the only solution. So we also work with design and build contracts when it's better, especially for smaller building of its consumption are not, if we do not have good data about consumptions. Tendering procedure is expensive. Technical assistance is a great help. We work with all different types of local authorities, and smaller local authorities sized do not have the capacity to conceive such contracts by themselves. This is why we have so many local authorities working with us. Local authorities are needed to be trained to follow up the execution of the projects and to follow, and also to be trained if they want to work, to take back the follow-up of the systems of the buildings. Measuring is knowing, knowing is acting. Okay. I'm going to go to give back the floor to Salma.
Thank you, Luc.
Thank you so much for the presentation, Luc. Salma.
Thank you.
Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So we do have some questions here in the chat box. So thank you very much for all those who sent the questions in advance. So I will go through, I will probably, organize these questions in 2-3 big ones. So I will leave you, we still have kind of 10 minutes to a little bit more than 10 minutes to answer them. So the first question, it's a kind of a more technical maybe question, but it's important to clarify. So can you please explain why, what is the reason that 2/3 of the measures are focused on the building envelope? And the other, together with this one, the idea would be to answer as well, it is, which tools do you have to convince the municipality to go into a deeper renovation? Or, or how do you manage to kind of, find the right balance between this, maybe, let's say, light renovations or less deep renovation and a deep renovation with, a more holistic approach. So if you could explain a little bit this relationship between, why the building envelope is so important, and on the other hand, how do you negotiate with the municipalities to go into a deep renovation process?
So simply, local authorities have to go to 2030 and 2050 objectives, which means, of course, the gains, easiest gains are on the systems. You just improve regulations, we will have the biggest, the best NPV value, of course. But we have also to take into account 2030 and 2050 objectives. And the only way to go to 2030, 55% of reduction, or 2030 neutrality, we have no other choice than work on the envelope. This is why we are in this process and we work both on systems and envelope.
Je peux compléter. Paola, je vais compléter en français et Luc traduira si nécessaire parce que c'est important comme question. En fait, le bâti wallon est très, très vieillissant. Nous avons beaucoup de bâtiments où il y a encore du simple vitrage. Il y a par ailleurs d'autres problèmes techniques. Il y a des infiltrations dans les toitures. Il y a des écoles où il y a de la condensation. Il y a des problèmes vraiment structurels. On a beaucoup d'écoles, 80% de notre patrimoine, je dirais, ce sont des écoles qui sont avec des façades rideaux ou en tout cas des composants techniques qui sont nécessaires à rénover. Donc, ce n'est même pas un choix. On ne peut pas commencer à leur proposer des systèmes de pointe si même l'enveloppe n'est pas au point. Donc, nous sommes obligés d'isoler la toiture, remplacer les simples vitrages par du double vitrage, souvent isoler les façades pour régler à la fois les problèmes techniques, donc les problèmes d'infiltration par ailleurs que j'ai notés, mais également donner une nouvelle vie au bâtiment. Et en effet, les deux aspects sont liés. Renowatt encourage toujours l'approche systémique. Donc, au lieu de réaliser des actions de quick win, parce que les autorités publiques, les communes n'ont pas beaucoup de moyens, et finalement, c'est ce qu'elles souhaitent. Elles s'attendent à ce qu'on vienne leur proposer des actions ponctuelles pour réduire l'économie, l'énergie, sans pour autant investir beaucoup. Mais il y a des problèmes techniques à régler avant de commencer à proposer des systèmes performants. Et si on avance par quick win, on va réaliser des verrouillages techniques qui ne permettront plus au bâtiment d'atteindre une bonne performance. Donc, on n'arrivera plus aux objectifs 2050. Alors, Luc, peut-être juste Mohamed traduire. Voilà, on a un anglophone dans l'équipe.
Bon, bienvenue, Mohamed. Welcome to the session.
Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. Okay, to get the points that someone just explained. Well, okay. A lot of buildings that we are dealing with are really built in very old, like dates back to 50s and 60s. And since that date, no actions have been taken on the glazing. Like, for example, we tend to see a lot of simple glazing windows all over the buildings. The same thing with the infiltration, water and air through the walls, through the windows, through the roofs. However, like on the other side, if we talk about the systems, for example, if we have a building that dates back to the 50s, so along those years, there have been changing in the systems. They have once or twice replaced the boilers. So we tend to have a lot of necessity. There's a huge need to change the envelope, to make a renovation on the envelope. And that explains why do we have a big share of renovation on the building envelope in general, and also due to the fact it returns back to Renowatt, what we try to convince the communes with, to go through deep renovation, to go through making real renovation for the buildings, because that's also a notion that's not been understood well by many communes, that we have to go and convince them, to show them what's the impact of doing a real renovation compared to just changing a window or just insulating the roof. So we tend to go through or towards this direction, which helps the communes to achieve the European vision for reducing the carbon emissions and to achieve those targets in the future.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
The next question is super related, but I mean, Margarita Finamore asked, and I forgot to mention Daniela Bachner, who was the one asking the previous question. So Margarita Finamore wants to know, so why 20, 30 years payback? It seems too much, she says. So I guess you already... So,
which payback?
Parce que vous avez mentionné 20-30 ans de payback. Donc, she's asking why so long period, but I guess you kind of already provided the answer by explaining, that you are going into a deeper renovation. I mean, I leave it up to you if you want to take that question as well and maybe complement, you know, why this so long payback, you know, maybe if you can give us kind of a feeling of the different paybacks depending on the different type of contracts that you may have. So EPC or design and build maybe have a different scenario in terms of payback. Maybe you want to address that question from that perspective?
So, of course, best paybacks, we will have LEDs, placing LEDs, placing photovoltaic panels, improving regulations. Of course, when you just improve a regulation which doesn't work properly, you have a very short payback. So we speak about a few years of payback time. Now, if we have a simple roof insulation, okay, we can have a 5 or 10-year payback time. Now, if we replace a complete roof by outside, of course, payback start to be 20 years. And when we insulate by insulation of the walls, certainly 20 or 30 years of payback, and replacing old double glass, we will have a very, very long time of payback, because replacing old double glass, you do not have really a payback on that. And also, we take into account the ventilation work. But ventilation, it's not a real payback. We do ventilation because we have to do it for comfort and for coronavirus.
Understood. Thank you.
This is why it's a mix of very short payback time with more long payback time. We mix together.
Perfect, thank you. So let me go quickly to the next question from Marie-Jean Mougin, maybe I'm pronouncing it wrong, and also coupled with a question from Robert Bernetta. So the question goes in direction to the contracts that you mentioned. So the question is it to find companies interested in small CPE projects? So that's the one. Do you always pool the projects? And the other one is a negotiated procedure used for all 3 types of contracts, including design and build small projects?
Paula, je vais de vous voilà, répondre en français. Alors, Mohamed complétera. Désolée. Donc, par rapport à la question de la procédure, oui, on a heureusement beaucoup de consortiums qui se sont formés. Renowatt, donc projet pilote, a connu finalement 2 consortiums qui ont remporté les 5 contrats CPE qui avaient été lancés. Ici, tout au long des différentes phases, on a eu un accroissement des consortiums qui se sont formés pour répondre à nos marchés et qui se sont adaptés. Donc, on a bien des consortiums qui répondent pour les CPE longs, courts et les design and build. Et parfois, c'est même les grands ESCO qu'on n'attendait pas pour les design and build qui ont développé finalement des parties de leur société pour pouvoir répondre au marché de design and build de Renowatt. Donc, oui, c'est vraiment une réussite. Par rapport à la procédure négociée, nous la pratiquons également pour les design and build, mais avec la possibilité de réduire les phases de négociation. Donc, on se réserve le droit de ne pas négocier ou d'arrêter le processus à une étape de négociation si ce n'est pas nécessaire. En tout cas, l'expérience actuelle de la phase que nous sommes en train d'attribuer nous montre que ces 2 phases de négociation sont nécessaires aussi bien pour les contrats de performance énergétique que pour les design and build. Pour la simple raison, je peux donner une petite explication. La différence entre un marché classique précédé par un marché de services puis un marché de travaux, que ce soit le CP ou le design and build, c'est que la composante conception est aussi dans le consortium. Donc, le projet, finalement, doit encore être réalisé. Et donc, pour cette raison-là, on a bien nécessaire de ces phases de négociation pour adapter la demande et pour que les ESCO adaptent l'offre en cours de processus.
Il vous reste 1-2 minutes maximum, donc merci.
On va essayer de traduire rapidement.
Okay, very quickly. Okay, I hope I get it all right. So yes, okay. Fortunately, we have many consortiums, many ESCOs, companies that get engaged to the different projects that we have, as well as for the different types of contracts. Either it's EPC or design and build, and that, well, by experience, by the first phases that we have went through, that was a real success that we had. Sometimes we get through, okay, for design and build, we get through at least a negotiation, one negotiation session. For the EPC contracts, we get up to 2 negotiation sessions. And that's to ensure that, well, first we have the opportunity to adapt the demand from our side, or from the commune's side, and also for the ESCO to adapt their offer. Because what Salma was just saying, that it's a contrat de service, a contrat de travaux. So the aim behind the EPC contract is to provide the service to ensure the gains that has been asked for, has been presented, and that to achieve that target, that aim, there should be a level or a space of negotiation and adapting the offers by consequence.
Great, thank you. I would like to finish by saying something that Salma also said, that big companies are also adapting to enter into small contracts, which means that the market is also responding to what you are doing in terms of what you are putting into the market, which is a good sign also, because it provides you, more access to service providers in this case. So that was also very, I think, important to highlight. I need to close this session now because it's already 9:46. I would like to thank you all again for participating in this session. I would also like to remind you that next session starts at 10 a.m. so after a short break. The next session in this panel would be financing deep retrofits of public buildings in Flanders based on a strategic portfolio management. I also would like to remind you that this afternoon there is a virtual fair, so please join us as well. And remember that all this is recorded and will be available shortly in the conference website. So thank you again, everyone, and see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.